Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to be making a hot pepper glazed pork chop with some Creole okra and some sour cream corn muffins, and it's going to be delicious. Now, I've already got my oven preheated to 400 degrees, so we're going to start on the corn muffins because they take a little bit of time. I have 1 cup of just the self-rising cornbread mix that you buy in the grocery stores, just regular cornmeal mix, not plain cornmeal, but the one that says mix, because there's a difference. And I buy the self-rising kind because it already has all the leaveners, the baking powders and sodas and things that you need in it. Wonderful product to have in your pantry. You can make cornbread any day that you want to. I have 3 eggs. I'm gonna make my mother happy. I'm gonna break them individually. She tells me all the time, and I know I tell you too. Break those eggs in a bowl. I got a great mama. She really has taught me well how to cook. So we're gonna add 3 eggs. This is a very rich cornbread that is delicious. I love cornbread. I love corn muffins and just all that kind of stuff. Just absolutely love it. We're gonna add 8 ounces of sour cream. You can use low fat if you want to, or the regular sour cream, which is what I have, because I actually couldn't find the low fat in the smaller container, so it's okay if you want to use regular. 1 can of creamed corn. Yum, yum, yum. These are just staples, you know, that you can have in your pantry at all times, and then you can make this dish anytime you want. I have 1/2 cup of canola oil. You can use vegetable oil if you like. Either one will work, whichever one you want. That spoon's a little big. Let's get rid of these eggshells. Stir that up first. Break up those yolks and stir that together. I make corn muffins and cornbreads of all different kinds, and just mix up the ingredients to where it's, sometimes I put cheese in it, sometimes I, will make it with herbs. I'll put different kinds of fresh herbs, a little bit of thyme, a little rosemary, depending on, the course that I'm serving it with. Oh, this looks so good. I love cornbread. Now, I have 1 small can of the diced green chilies, because the rest of my meal kind of has that little bit of a spicy kick to it. The pork chops have got a spice to it. The Creole okra, I keep wanting to say okra has a little bit of a kick to it. The cornbread needs to have just a little bit, not too much. These are the little small cans of diced chilies. And I opened it and I put it over a strainer because I want to strain out as much of that liquid as I can. So we're just going to add the 1 can of the diced green chilies. These particular ones were roasted, diced small green chilies, but if you don't want to put the green chilies in there, this recipe is perfectly delicious without it. I just like that little bit of a kick to it. My husband, Mike, loves Mexican cornbread, and that's this is sort of what that is, only they have jalapenos in it, and we're not doing that. Now, you can do this many different ways. You could put this in like an 8-inch square pan or a regular, 9-inch cake pan. You could put it in those sometimes you'll see those little cast iron molds that look like the little ears of corn, the corn sticks if you want to make it. I think it's easier just to put it in a muffin tin. I have a muffin tin here that I've sprayed with the baking non-stick spray. I love that stuff. That's the cooking spray that you get in the stores that has that little bit of flour with it. And I find, truthfully, just an ice cream scoop is the perfect way to fill up these little corn muffins. And it really actually ends up being just the perfect amount. You want to fill them about 3/4 full. I use quick breads a lot. I'm not much of a yeast bread baker. I'm not a real good baker, to be perfectly honest with you. And baking is just such a specialty. I do make some white bread, yeast white bread, that's really good. But I like the quick breads easier. I just think it's much quicker and much easier to do. This recipe makes 12 corn muffins, the regular size. You could make the little bite-sized ones too if you wanted to, the little mini ones. You might need to scrape down a little bit to get that last one filled up. 400 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes, and I'll show you how to test those when we take them out. Put them kind of in the center of your oven and let them go for 12 minutes, and they'll be perfectly delicious. Now, let's get started on our pork chops. We're going to get them browning. I have a large skillet here that I'm going to preheat to medium-high. I've got to put a couple of tablespoons of either olive oil or canola oil, vegetable oil. This is just a cooking medium. You can use whatever you have on hand, whatever you like. I think actually I need a little bit more. You want to just lightly coat the bottom of your skillet, so it depends on how big your skillet is. Let's get this out of the way. Now, I'm doing 5 because that's how many came in my package. Normally, you know, most all of my recipes serve 4 people, but this particular package had 5 in there, so that's what we're cooking today. These are the center cut, boneless loin chops. I love them. They are quick cooking. Because they're thicker, they won't dry out as quickly as your little thin chops. If you have a hard time with pork chops drying out and becoming tough and chewy, number 1, you're probably overcooking them, but the thinner chops, number 2, tend to dry out easier than the thicker chops. These are a good 1.25 inches thick, and they're beautiful. We are going to put a little bit of salt and pepper on both sides. We're going to flip them over. Get tongs. Oh, well, let's put the Creole seasoning on there first. This is Creole seasoning that you can get in the spice department of your grocery store. There's lots of different blends. Any of them will work. It'll say Creole seasoning. It's just a blend of red peppers and black pepper and a little bit of probably a dried oregano. I haven't checked the ingredients in this particular blend, but typically it has a little bit of oregano, a little bit of thyme, sometimes salt and pepper. This particular one that I do buy salt-free because I want to control how much salt's in my food. Flip them over and do the same thing to the other side. Salt them and pepper them. Easy meal, quick meal that you can make any night of the week for your family. I'm just gonna salt or pepper and Creole season this side. I'm gonna take a quick break, and when I come back, our pan should be hot and we'll get these pork chops going. I'll be right back with you in just a second. Colossians chapter 2, verse 6 says, "As you received Christ the Lord Jesus, so continue to live in him." You know, we all face struggles, but you know, struggles make us a little wiser, a little more able to help others, a little more prepared to face the battles that come along with life. But you know what? No matter how fierce the battle, it is only temporary, and our rewards for continuing to live in Christ are eternal. We need to remember to allow God to use our trials and our struggles to further our wisdom. Ask him for his guidance and his wisdom and his leadership in the situations that we each face each and every day. And remember, no matter how hot the battle, it is only temporary. We've got our chops ready to go into our oil. We're going to brown these on both sides. You want to hear that sizzle. Important. Anytime that you are cooking meat of any kind, whether it be a steak, whether it be chicken, pork chops, whatever it would be, when you put it in the skillet, if you're trying to brown the chicken or the pork or the beef, when you put it in your skillet, leave it alone. So many people start messing with it immediately. If you do that, you are not going to get that brown, delicious crust. That brown adds so much flavor to the meat. When you put it in your skillet, leave it alone. Let it just do its thing. It'll take about 3 or 4 minutes on that side, and then we will flip it over to the other side and let it brown, and then we'll put the glaze on there. That pepper's making me sneeze. I have got one of my favorite ingredients ever in this world, and that's bacon. I've got this pan preheating to like medium high. I have got about 6 slices of bacon. You want 4 to 6 slices. I find it easier to go ahead and do this beforehand. Cut it up into little thin strips or chop it. The pepper's making me sneeze. Because then you don't have to crumble it after it's cooked, and you just do it just like that. Just go ahead and get your bacon cut up. Put that in your skillet. Let that kind of brown off. Let me get a... Love bacon. Absolutely love it. My little one, Austin, eats bacon like nobody's business. That child loves bacon. Absolutely loves it. Gets that from me, I guess. Now, while our bacon is cooking, we're going to dice up just 1 onion. This is a good-sized onion, medium onion. Use any kind of onion you like. This one happens to actually be a Vidalia onion because my store had them, and I love them. But if you don't have the Vidalia, just use a regular white onion or a yellow onion or a red onion. Whatever you have is fine. Actually, I think I'm only going to need half of this onion. It's pretty big. Well, let me let the bacon cook just a minute more here. We'll finish chopping while we're waiting. Just a minute more. Stir it up, let it go. Our pork chops are going beautifully. Let's just use half that. We've got a green pepper. You know, and sometimes in the grocery store, in the freezer department, you can get what's called the, it's a starter blend, and it's green peppers and onions. And you can, by all means, if you can get the frozen ones and want to use them in this particular dish, you can. Doesn't matter. Be perfectly delicious. This is a green pepper. I love green pepper. Love the flavor that it adds. It's very good and very good for you. Kind of medium dice. Don't want it too small. You want to be able to tell what it is. Let's check our bacon. Now I'm going to show you a neat trick for cutting corn. Turn our chop. Ready? Oh, look at that beautiful golden. Oh, so good. That's what you get when you leave them alone. Yum, yum. Oh, smells so good. Now, this is one of my favorite little tools. This is kind of splattering. So I'm just going to kind of put that little splatter guard. You can get them anywhere. Even the dollar stores have these. And just place that over, and it doesn't make as big a mess on your stove. Okay, now, corn. I love corn. Absolutely love, love, love corn. Any way you can get it. You can use frozen corn if you want to in this recipe. But my store had beautiful fresh corn this morning, so that's what I chose. But if you want to use the frozen, you can. You need about a cup or 2 ears. Bundt pan, perfect tool for cutting corn on the cob. See that little hole? Stick that right down there. Cut your corn off, and it goes down into the pan instead of all over your counter. Great, 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 great tip. Especially in the summertime. when the corn comes in season. And I do a lot of putting up or freezing and canning kind of thing. And I love corn, so I will buy it when it's fresh, and I'll cut it off the cob and freeze it. And so I use, this is a neat trick when you've got a lot of corn to cut. Really helps not to make a mess, because corn can make a mess. I want about 2 ears. Some still do kind of escape, but that's okay. It's a whole lot less than what it would be. If you don't have a bundt pan, get a large bowl and place a smaller bowl upside down inside of it, and you'll have the equivalent of a bundt pan for that purpose anyway. There's our corn. See, a couple escaped, but that's okay. Now, let's pull the bacon out, leave the drippings. We're just going to put the bacon onto a pan or sheet or plate, whatever you got. Paper towel, whatever you have on hand will work. You just want to get that bacon out of there. Set that aside. You'll add it back to it later. You don't eat it all first. I've been known to do that. Add your onion right into those drippings and your green pepper right into the bacon drippings. This dish, if you, the okra, you could absolutely do this full recipe, serve it over rice, and add some sliced sausage to it that you've browned off, like andouille or kielbasa or whatever kind of sausage you like, Italian sausage, whatever you like. Chorizo would be delicious in this. And you got a meal in one in this one pan. If you wanted to add the sausage and serve it over rice, so there's a twofer. You got 2 meals today. But that would be delicious if your family likes sausage. Or you could add some chicken. Maybe you had a rotisserie chicken. You wanted to add some leftover chicken. So the okra you actually could turn into a main dish if you wanted to. Just serve it over some rice. Now, my corn, I'm going to add to my peppers and onions. I'm a big vegetable eater. Anybody that knows me knows I really, really like vegetables. I'm a big-time veggie eater, all kinds, love them all. So anything that I can cook, that I can incorporate fresh vegetables into, I do, because I really think that's a good way to get your family to eat healthier. Now, to this, I want to add some salt. About a tablespoon-ish of the kosher salt. If you're using regular fine salt, you want half the amount. And fresh black pepper, however much you like. Turn that up just a little bit. Remember our Creole seasoning that we sprinkled over our pork chops? About a teaspoon or so of that. And just kind of let that go. I'm going to take a quick break and let this saute. When I come back, we're going to get these pork chops glazed, get the corn muffins out, and wrap this meal up. Be back in just a second.
Wow. College already?
Yeah. We gotta go.
Yeah.
For all those times you stood by me, for all the
And remember that.
Seatbelt. Drive safe. Call and get there.
for all the joy you brought to
Hi.
my life, for
I love you.
every dream you made come true, for all the love I found in you.
I love you too, Daddy.
You're the one who saw me through.
And thanks for everything.
Gratitude. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Hi, I'm Terry Nestel, Interim President and CEO of Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. COVID-19 is affecting all of us. It is impacting how people live, work, shop, and how we care for one another. One way you can help is by protecting the most vulnerable kids. Stay home. Practice social distancing. Working together, we can change kids' health. Together, we can change the future.
And welcome back. Now, our corn and pepper and onion is ready to go. I'm going to add 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. Have on reserve, about half a cup of water, because you might actually need to add a little bit of water to this dish. Sometimes I do. It just depends. Now, I have 1 bag, 16-ounce bag of frozen okra cut. You could use the whole okra if you wanted to. It's actually very pretty. I love okra. Absolutely love it. It is so good and so good for you. Doesn't that look pretty? Oh, so delicious. And actually, I think I am. I'm going to add a little bit of water, about maybe a half a cup is all. Yum, yum. Now, we're just going to kind of let that hang and do its thing. It's going to cook, simmer away while we finish up the pork chops. I have a pan right here. Now, I have a jar of hot jalapeno jelly. If you cannot find jalapeno jelly, you could use any kind of jelly you wanted. I happen to love this stuff. Absolutely love it. You can find it in regular grocery stores. 1 whole jar. This is a 10-ounce jar. So anywhere from a half a cup to a cup of, if you can find the hot jalapeno, oh, try it. It's absolutely scrumptious. I'm putting it in a saucepan because I want to melt it, because I'm going to use it as a glaze. My mother actually makes her own homemade jalapeno jelly. And it is fantastic on biscuits with a little bit of country ham and a little bit of this jalapeno jelly over it. It is wonderful. I've got about 2 teaspoons or so. You can use Worcestershire sauce or soy sauce, whatever you have in your pantry. You're just melting this jelly is all we're doing. Just going to kind of let that go. Now, our corn muffins are done. I want to show you something. I've come to realize that a lot of people don't understand what people mean when they say things. I assume people know. And I get comments all the time of how, thank you for explaining, because I didn't know what that meant. When you read a recipe and it says, when a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean, it's done. I'm going to show you what that means. Take a regular toothpick, stick it in the center of whatever you're cooking. When you lift it out, you see there's nothing on there. There's no wet batter. There's no nothing. That means that they're done. So that's what that means. Just take a toothpick or a skewer, put it in the middle. When it comes out clean, it's okay if it's got a couple of little crumbs, but if it's got thick, wet batter, then you know it's not done. But those are done, and I cannot wait to eat them. So let's just kind of set these aside to cool for just a second. Let's stir our okra. Oh, man, I just can't wait to dive into that. This is a recipe that you could mix up however you wanted. You could add whatever you wanted to it. Like I said, if you wanted to add some chicken or shrimp or sausage sliced up and serve it over rice, that would be a main dish meal, but it's also great as a side dish. Let's put our glaze. It's melted beautifully. As you can see, when you just heat up jelly. Now, if you can't find the jalapeno jelly, you can use any kind of a fruit preserve or jelly would go fabulously over these pork chops, because you know what? Fruit and pork have a natural affinity for one for the other. They just go together. You could do the same thing with apple butter. You could do, with apple jelly. You could do it with apricot. You could do it with blackberry. Blackberry, actually, I promise you, if you have never tried blackberry preserves over pork or chicken or steak, it is delicious. I do that a lot with jellies and preserves and things like that. I just use them as a cooking ingredient as well as on toast and jam or biscuits or something like that. But try it. You kind of want to turn that down and let that simmer. What we're trying to do is let those pork chops cook through. That will take about 5 more minutes. Now, our meal is done. I have taken the corn muffins out of the tin. You want to take those out after just a minute or two and set them on a wire rack to just kind of finish cooling, because otherwise they steam in the bottom and they'll get soggy. So take them out quickly. Now, we want to add our bacon back into the okra mixture, and that looks so good. Oh, so deliciously good. And look how wonderful our pork chops are. They are done. So let's get our little corn muffins on our plate. Just let them kind of cool a second. Those other two can be for a snack. Actually, I have to confess to you, we've already snacked. My camera people and I have already eaten one. We couldn't wait. Let's take one of our wonderful little pork chops. Oh, so good. Or two. And some of our okra onto our plate. Oops, come over here, buddy. Yum. Yum, I can't wait to eat this. Let's get you back up there. Now, if you want to, and I do, take a little bit of your, a plate back, a little bit of your glaze that's in the bottom of your skillet and pour that